So what do we mean by sequencing? Sequencing is the process of bringing order to a group of ideas, items, or processes. It involves looking closely at the steps or events and finding a logical and meaningful order in which to place them. That's according to Nicholson and Glass-Kaka 2004. So, sequencing is an essential competency we teach to our learners, especially Key Stage 2. So that's grades 4, 5, and 6, as early as Key Stage 2. And these strategies that we will be using later for this competency is also very essential. And we know that sequencing or sequence of events is an imperative skill that we need to give to our learners. Why? Because it will enable them, the readers, to analyze text structure. And it is affirmed in this research. According to Dymock and Nicholson of 2010, they emphasize that teaching text structures help readers build a coherent representation of the text, and even direct instruction in the recognition of text patterns is quite helpful for our readers, and gone in 2013. Now, why do we need to teach sequencing? Okay, strong sequencing skills help our learners to what? Okay, with their reading comprehension of a text, especially narratives. Okay, so we are giving them narratives. Okay, we give them the elements, right? But then also in sequencing, we also have to give our learners texts that are localized, okay, and contextualized. We really need to go beyond their CPD, okay, the zone or proximal development by Vygotsky, wherein they will be able to relate to the text that we will be giving to them. What else? We also need to come up with their schema. Okay, that's very essential. So in sequencing, we don't just use only the narratives, but also we use informative text for the procedures and others. Okay, understand the structure of the text and how it is put together. So yesterday, the structure was been given to you. There are 10 text structures according to Barrett, and one of which here is the chronology. So when we talk about sequencing, automatic, the text structure is chronology, okay? And then understand how texts are kept cohesive through the use of linking devices such as connectives and transitions. So this pertains to the signal words. And signal words are very essential, okay? When we also select text, make sure that we have sufficient signal words because these will be very helpful for our learners for Key Stage 2, okay? And lastly, organize information and ideas in their own writing. So as I've said, our ultimate goal for Key Stage 3 and 4 is for them to be able to write their own composition. Okay? So why teach again sequencing? Sequencing is an important component of problem solving across the curriculum, especially for social studies, for science, and for mathematics. But of course, in all areas, okay? Do you agree? Yes, we have the sequencing across all learning areas. And of course, in our COT, okay, we are looking for the integration, right? Content integration, COT indicator number 1, when we observe our teachers, right? Now, how do we teach sequencing? Through explicit teaching. Okay, again, we have our introduction and the modeling. This is the part that I do, right? The I do part. Next, the guided practice, wherein this is the part that we do, okay, the we do part. The independent practice and the application pertains to the you do part, the learner's part, okay? Now, an example here that I could give, for introduction and then modeling, we can have here the think aloud and the scaffold. And then for the practice, of course, and then for the independent and application. But we will not gonna use these strategies. We will have different strategies, okay? So other sequence strategies that we could use, we have the timeline. So this is best for autobiography and biography. The paragraph frames, okay, best for informative text, for process or steps. Though we can also use this for narratives. Graphic organizers, so we have here an example, stream pattern. Then we have sequence cards. If you have different pictures available, you can also use this for your graphic organizer in sequencing the events. And then you also have the 3 strategic tools to build sequencing skill. The close reading, you're familiar with that. The text structure, okay, because as I've said, it's not only the grade or the key stage 2 that we're after, but also for the key stage 3 and 4. And of course, the last one, graphic organizer. We will be using these strategies later. Okay, so we also have the signal words, okay? Signal words are used to give sign to the reader that a sequence of events occurred. So we have here examples, but make sure that when you give these signal words, inculcate or directly tell to our learners that there are specific signal words that we use for narratives and for informative text, okay? All right. So we also have here words or phrase. So let's just locate this, whether this is in the beginning, the middle, or the end. Okay. So of course, once upon a time, we can see that at the beginning. How about the end? Of course, the end. They lived happily ever after. The next day. Okay. After several months. Middle, yes. And then finally. Okay, so some of the signal words here will not be seen in the informative text, right? So we need to tell our learners. So I will read the text. So I'm already here on the modeling. You already have your copy? Not yet? My fellow trainers will give you the text. Okay, learners, I will read the text entitled The Miller, His Son, and Their Donkey. Once upon a time, there was a miller who lived in a little house beside his mill. All day long, he worked hard, but at night, he went home to his wife and his little boy. One day, this miller made up his mind that he would take his donkey to the fair and sell it. So, he and his boy said farewell to their lady and started off. They had not gone far when they met a number of girls coming from the town. "Look," said one of them, "did you ever see such stupid fellows? They are walking when one of them must be riding." When the miller heard this, he told the boy to get up on the donkey, while he tramped along merrily by its side. Soon, they came to a number of old men standing by the side of the road talking together. I will have to identify the signal words at this part of the text. Once upon a time, one day, soon. I will continue reading. "Look at that," said one of them. "Look at that young rascal riding, while his poor father has to walk. Get down, you idle fellow, and let your father ride." Upon this, the son got down from the donkey, and the miller took his place. They had not gone very far when they met two women coming home from market. "You lazy man," they cried at once. "How dare you ride when your poor little boy is walking and can hardly keep pace with you?" Then the miller, who was a good-natured man, took his son up behind him, and this way they went down to the town. I will locate the signal words wherein it marks the sequence in this part of the text. Upon this, then. I will continue reading the last part of the text. "My good fellow," said the townsman whom they met, "is that donkey your own?" "Yes," replied the miller. "I should not have thought so. By the way, you load him," said the man. "Why, you two are better able to carry the beast than he is to carry you." "Well," said the miller, "we can but try." So he and his son got down and tied the legs of the donkey together. Then they slung him on a pole and carried him on their shoulders. It was such a funny sight that the people laughed and jeered at them. The poor donkey was very uncomfortable and tried to get off the pole. At last, as they were passing over a bridge, he pulled his legs out of the rope and tumbled to the ground. He was so frightened that he jumped off the bridge and was drowned. Again, I will locate the signal words. Then, at last, and even so. Now, class, for me to have visual representation of the text, I will use a graphic organizer. This text type is a literary or a fiction. So I will use a graphic organizer, okay, wherein there will be beginning, middle, and end. I will write, "One day, the miller and his son took their donkey to be sold to the market." At the middle part, I will write, "First, they met a number of girls and heard that one must be riding in the donkey. So the miller let his son ride the donkey. Then they came to a number of old men and suggested to let the father ride the donkey. Next, they met two women and said both of them must ride, so they followed. Soon, they met a townsman and told them instead of them carried by the beasts, they should carry the donkey and slung him in a pole. And at the end, at last, as they were passing over a bridge, the donkey pulled his legs, tumbled to the ground. He jumped off to the bridge and drowned." You may include the text structure. So you let them have the text structure chronology, and then the text type, literary, and of course the signal words for your learners who are key stage 3 and 4. Okay? This time, class, I will model another text type. Let me read. "The process of machine translation of languages is complex. To translate a document from English into Japanese, for example, the computer first analyzes an English sentence, determining its grammatical structure and identifying the subject, verb, objects, and modifiers. Next, an English-Japanese dictionary translates the words, and after that, another part of the computer program analyzes the resulting awkward, confused mixture of words and meanings. The machine then produces an intelligible sentence based on the rules of Japanese sentence structure and grammar and its understanding of the original English sentence meaning. Finally, a human bilingual editor polishes the computer product translation." I will locate the signal words. First, next, after that, then, finally. Okay, class, there are 5 signal words that pertains 5 events in this example text. Now, for me to have a visual representation of the text, I will use a graphic organizer. This time, class, I will use the string pattern. Okay? I'll give a title to this, Machine Translation of Languages, English to Japanese. First, analyzes an English sentence, determining its grammatical structure and identifying the subject, verb, objects, and modifiers. Next, an English-Japanese dictionary translates the words. After that, another part of the computer program analyzes the resulting awkward, confused mixtures of words and meanings. Then, produces an intelligible sentence based on the rules of Japanese sentence structure and grammar. Okay? So, with that, a specific example of modeling to you for your key stage 2. Again, for key stage 3 and 4, you may include this. Okay? Helping them to identify the text structure. Very easy if it is a sequence, chronology. And then for this text type, informational. Okay? And then signal words already highlighted in the text. Okay? So always remember that when we give text to our learners, it should be localized and contextualized, okay? Suited to their need. Let's have the guided practice. Legend of the Three Races. So this time, we are already on the we do. You have your copy there, right? Okay, class, I will read the text, The Legend of the Three Races. In the beginning, the great god Kabunian was lonely. He came up with the idea of shaping a man out of clay that he could bring to life and talk to, and put in charge of the other beings on earth every now and then. He decided that he would make the clay look like man. He took some clay from the earth, molded it into the shape of man, and then placed it inside his oven. While he waited for the clay man to solidify, he threw the earth and amused himself. Alas, Kabunian lost all track of time. When he remembered that he had left something in the oven longer than was ought, his first clay man was all burnt. It was black as coal all over. Its hair curled tightly from the heat. Kabunian, anyway, thought it a grand creation and breathed life into it. But it was not yet the kind of man he wanted at the start. Okay, class, what are the signal words that we can see in that particular part of the text? Okay, in the beginning, what else? Then, okay, what else? While, yes, what else? When, right? Okay, I will continue reading. So, Kabunian gave it another try. He placed his second clay man into the oven. But this time, Kabunian became so eager to see and what could come out that he brought the clay man out while it was not yet fully baked. The second clay man was so pale that now we could call it raw, but it was solid enough, and Kabunian liked it well. He breathed life into it, but it was not yet the kind of man he wanted at the start. Okay, class, what are the signal words that you can see in that part of the text? So, correct. What else? But this time, okay? What else? The second, okay? What else? But, okay. So this time, class, we will read the last part of the text. At his third and final try, Kabunian resolved to be careful. He guarded the time while his third clay man baked to perfection. When his clay man was finally drawn from the oven, it was a perfect brown, and its hair was straight and dark, and there was laughter in its cheeks. Kabunian loved this third clay man. He began to encourage the three races to get along, for the truth is they had come from the same clay, and so are brothers. Okay, class, what are the signal words you have seen in this last part of the text? Third, yes, what else? While, what else? When, and but in the end. Okay, class. So these are the signals words that we have seen. So we used a narrative text, right? Literary, meaning you have to use, okay, we will use, okay, the three types or the three divisions, the beginning, the middle, and the end, okay?